shit up, Chase.
All right, welcome back, Chiefs Studios. This is episode number 2 of the 2024 season. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. As we get the season rolling, we will get more of a steady schedule, right? We will, I believe Fred and I are ironing out the days that we are going to go live, but have no fears, have no worries. We will be either Fred or I will either be doing a live show and or recordings almost every day. I'm not going to say every day, but I think at least for maybe 5 days out of the week. You're going to get pregame content before the games. You're going to get postgame content. I might even live stream during the games this season, just depending on how it goes. But I wanted to get into that last year, but definitely looking forward to getting into more live streaming during the games this season. So look, camp's rolling around. We do have some injury updates, some injury status. Some players injured going on IR. Some players coming back to practice from the IR. So we'll get into that. But first, I wanted to, as I mentioned, thank everybody for joining us. Now, you can get 24/7 breaking news coverage on our website, not only of the Chiefs, but of the entire NFL. So if you go to chiefsstudios.tech, chiefsstudios.tech, you see it right there on the bottom of the screen. I got a bunch of cool stuff on there for y'all. Bunch of cool stuff. And it's only going to get better as the season goes on, right? So before we get into player projections for the season, let's get into the news. Let's go to chiefstudios.tech. How about that? So, it's chiefstudios.tech. And let me pull this up here. And we will check out what I got. All right, so players injured. You got Nick Bolton and Kadarius Toney were injured this Wednesday during practice, right? So Toney, the wide receiver, exited practice early due to an ankle injury. And if you remember, had that same ankle injury, the same one that's been bugging him all dating back through last season. His availability is crucial. Look, they're going to have a high-flying, hopefully explosive offense this year. I think they are. We'll get into it with the projections, but he's going to be crucial because Rashee Rice is going to face some sort of suspension. We don't know when that's going to come down. Probably before the season starts, obviously. But we don't know if is it going to be 4 games? Is it going to be 6 games? Hopefully not 8 games. It'll probably be appealed, probably be shaved back a game or 2. We have no idea, but Toney's going to be needed on this active roster to fill spots, right? To fill that wide receiving core. He was very inconsistent last year and not off to a good start this year. He's been in and out of practice, in and out of games since his rookie season. So injuries have riddled his career, unfortunately. A very talented receiver, very fast. Probably needs to practice on catching the ball a little more in the offseason. Hopefully he did, but we will definitely keep you updated on his return. We don't know how long he's going to be out. If it's an ankle injury, could be weeks, right? And that hopefully won't bump into the regular season. If I'm Andy Reid, as I mentioned on the last show, just get him healthy for the season and eventually the playoffs. So he knows the playbook. He knows the routes. Yes, you do need to get in You need to get in repetitions. You need to be catching the ball. You need to be running the routes. But a veteran receiver like that who knows the playbook already, I'm okay with him chilling for the preseason, right? You know what he's going to bring. he does bring speed, so it could and will open up the offense when he's on the field, right? So we'll definitely keep you updated on his status. Nick Bolton, linebacker, very crucial part of this Kansas City defense. Left practice with an elbow injury. Coach Andy Reid remains optimistic about the defense, saying that they will be fine, quote unquote, but he's an integral part of that phenomenal Kansas City defense. I expect them to be, if not as good, right up there, right? They did lose a player or two, right, to the free agency, but I think this defense is going to be good. As long as you got the core guys there, as long as you got Chris Jones there, you're going to be good. So, but he needs to be there. Nick Bolton's a very talented linebacker. He needs to be on the field, but we don't know much more about that elbow injury as far as the extent to how bad it's injured. Was it a ligament? We don't know. Was it hyperextended? We just have no idea. It'll be closely monitored. His health will, as they prepare for the upcoming season. He's a veteran as well. Not too concerned about playing in the preseason or even practicing. As long as you're in game shape, meaning physically, I'm okay with him kind of chilling out till the regular season, right? So, other injuries. Chiefs also dealt injuries with players including tight end Isaiah Gatherings, hamstring pull, offensive tackle Chuck Godric, ankle, and offensive tackle McCade Mature, another ankle. A lot of ankle injuries this preseason. Just a fluke? I don't know. I have not been out to practice, obviously, so I do not know what the field conditions are like. Maybe it's just a fluke preseason deal, a training camp deal, a bunch of injuries, ankle injuries. I have no idea. They will continue practice. Now, they're off today, Saturday, but continuing practice throughout this upcoming week, and we will keep you up to date with all the injuries as far as guys that get injured and go on the IR and guys coming back. Speaking of guys that are coming back, let's see who else came back. So players have returned off the IR onto the not only active roster, but just practicing on the practice field, right? Wide receiver Justin Watson, quarterback Nazim Johnson. Wide receiver Justin Watson left practice due to a foot injury. However, does not appear to be severe. Actually, it's just a minor foot issue and is expected to return the very next practice. I think they get back on the field tomorrow, so he's expected back tomorrow. Cornerback Johnson suffered a torn ACL during last year's camp, right? And those generally take about a year to recover from. Obviously, with medical advancements, some guys get back on the field like within 8 months, which is insane. Some guys take a little longer, right? Everybody's body's not exactly the same. So he is expected back before the start of the season. He was one of the key pieces to that phenomenal backfield of the Kansas City defense. So getting him back on the field now, it's going to be key for him. I know they're keeping him. They're working him out, right? So he needs to get his wind back. He needs to get his stamina back. And then they're doing that behind the scenes to get him prepared for if they got to slot him in week 1 ready to go. They're going to get him ready to go. Now, I'm not saying he will be ready week 1. I'm just saying he is expected back early this season before the start of the season. But it's going to be up to him as far as where is he at physically. Guys can't just jump off the couch and play in week 1. It doesn't happen like that. So I have full faith in the training staff of the Chiefs that are getting him up and ready to go for this season. And we'll let you know when he gets back, right? So player projections. I pulled up some stats here, so I want to go through. This is a newer offense. Not a new offense, but we have some new key pieces and some old familiar faces. So I'm not going to go through every single player, every single position, but I want to hit on the key positions. So I think, last year was a down year for them offensively, and they still won the Super Bowl. And that was with them struggling to throw the ball. the running game was essentially the cornerstone of the offense, right? Mahomes was your second leading rusher. So I don't expect to see that happen this year. But let's get into Mahomes. So he threw for 4,100 yards last year. I think he's going to get up to that 5,000. I don't know if he's going to hit 5K yards throwing, but he'll be right up there, right? 4,800, 4,900, something like that. Rushing. This is the year Pacheco takes the next step and gets the highly sought after 1,000 yard rushing season. He's going to get there. He looks really good in camp. He continues to grow physically. He continues to grow, learn the playbook mentally. This is his year to break out, have a huge season. I think he's going to end up with 1,100, 1,200 yards in the year. Touchdowns, probably 10 to 12, I bet. Nothing amazing on touchdowns, but he will be up there, right? He definitely will be up there. I have a lot of faith in him. Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not too much faith. He came out this week and basically said he's been struggling with some mental health issues, right? What did he say? It was PTSD. He's been struggling with trauma. If you remember, and I don't know the specifics, and shame on me, I should have pulled it up, but he was involved in a killing when he was in college at LSU. I do remember this. At LSU, him and a friend were at a gas station. They got robbed at gunpoint, and I think his friend was shot dead, like literally right next to him. So he's been struggling, and that wasn't that long ago. I mean, this is his third year or something in the league. So, I mean, it only happened a few years ago. So he's been dealing with a lot mentally. I understand that. But I'm not necessarily worried with him about that. I'm worried him about health. He's been marred with injuries. He did not play as much as I would like last year. Did not get as many carries as I thought last year. They drafted him to be essentially running back number 1. Drafted very high, in fact, out of LSU. It was a star at LSU. But just hasn't really caught on and/or hasn't really stood out as their number 1 running back. Pacheco has. And that's why you see him at the number 1 running back spot and Edwards-Helaire at the number 2. But it's going to be key for him to stay healthy. Not only for the Chiefs, but for him personally, right? He needs to have a good year. He needs to play, if not all 17 games, he needs to play, 14, 15 games. I really believe. McKinnon, Perrine, I don't know where they fit in. I hope both of them make the roster. I'm not sure if either of one of them do. McKinnon is a really good running back, but they are there if you need them. I just don't know where they end up stat-wise just due to the playing time. Pacheco, as I mentioned, over 1,000 yards this year. Would like to see 10, 12 touchdowns. Edwards-Helaire, he only got 223 yards rushing last year. So if he plays, 14, 15 games, I would like to see him get at least 500 yards, something like that. That would be a good year with Edwards-Helaire getting 600 yards, and Pacheco getting 1,000 yards. That's a good year on the ground, which opens up the pass game. Speaking of the pass game, let's get to the wide receivers. Travis Kelce ended the year with 984 yards. 984 yards. I don't think he's going to get to 1,000 yards. I think his streak remember he was on a streak of like hitting 1,000 yards every season for like 10 or 12 years. It ended last year. And I think it's going to end. I don't think he's going to reach it this year. Now, why do I say that? It's because I believe they're going to try to keep him healthy. That's hard because he wants to play all the time. But you just drafted his replacement. His replacement needs to get in the groove of things, needs to learn this playbook, needs to get playing time. And I think they're going to see. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be, he's going to be taken out for half the game. But every play now and then, right? A couple plays every quarter. Put in the rookie. That's why I don't think his stats will be as high, but there's a trade-off. If you keep him healthy, if you keep him fresh, when the playoffs come, he's going to be a beast, and he's going to tear the other team's defense apart. That's what Kelce does. He's got another couple years in him, but he just needs to stay healthy, and that's why they did draft that tight end out of TCU, right? Is to give Kelce a little breather every now and then. Definitely deserves it. Definitely earned it. Now, and as far as receptions, I don't know. Maybe since he gets less playing time, he had 93 last year, 121 targets. So I think he catches probably 75 balls, maybe 850 yards, 875. Not a drastic drop off, right? But every play, if you sub him out, let's just say 12 plays a game with that new rookie compared to last year, that'll it'll drop a little bit, right? The receptions and yards. So we'll see a little bit dip, but that's okay. We need him healthy for the playoffs. Rashee Rice, don't know where this is going. He is a very good wide receiver. He emerged last year as your number one as a rookie. This year, coming into the season, will get suspended. We don't know for how long. So I don't know really what those numbers are going to look like. They're obviously going to be less than what they are now. He'll probably have 50, 60 catches. I don't know, 600-700 yards, something like that. Now, let's get into Hollywood Brown, your other acquired wide receiver. Now, we got him from Arizona. Now, last year, didn't have that many good numbers, but again, remember, he was on Arizona. Arizona playing most of the year, it was most of the year without Kyler Murray. So he only had 51 receptions, 574 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think, so one of these wide receivers is going to, I think Brown is going to be the standout. One of these wide receivers is going to hit 1,000. It's going to be too explosive for them not to get 1,000. Now, Kadarius Toney, I don't see that being that player. McCole Hardman, I don't see him being that player. However, he could surprise me, but he's typically going to be a threat. I don't know how many wide receivers they're going to carry this year. One of these guys I'm betting on over 1,000 receiving yards. I would have said Rice, honestly, if he would play all 17 games, but we know that that's not going to happen. But we do know that technically all the other wide receivers have an opportunity to play all 17 games. My 1,000-yard receiver, I'm going to put my money on Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. May sound like a long shot, but he is very excited to be on this team, and I think he's going to have just a standout season. I think he's going to blow through all of his career highs and be that 1,000-yard receiver for the Chiefs. I just do. He'll end up with 100. He'll end up with 100 receptions, 1,000 yards, probably 6, 7, 8 touchdowns. Watch. Your rookie, Xavier Worthy. Now, the stats on this, on UT's website, I guess I could have pulled them from somebody else, but your number one draft pick, 6'1", 172. Last year for UT, let's see, where are they? Offensive stats. He had receptions, yards, touchdowns. He had 75 receptions. Remember, this is at UT. And what do they play? 12 games? 13 games with the bowl game? So he had 75 receptions, over 1,000 yards at 1,014, 5 touchdowns. I think he's going to get, I think he'll catch around in the 50, 55 balls this year. Probably do 600 yards, 700 yards, and probably right around that 4 or 5 touchdown mark. So yeah, so probably around 50 to 55 receptions, probably 600 yards receiving. He's going to be a threat more than anything. Even if they don't throw him the ball, he's going to be a threat. That's why drafting him, the fastest player to ever run the 40-yard dash. Just that alone, defensive backs, the whole defense knows this on every single game you play, right? The scouting report's going to have that front and center, minus Mahomes. But just having him alone on there, being a threat, being a decoy, is going to open up your offense. So whether they throw him the ball, whether he blows past his opponent and throw him the ball, or they set him up to run a route to pull the defense in and they throw it somewhere else, he's going to benefit this team big time. So don't be discouraged if he does not get big numbers this year, because again, just his presence alone is going to equate to big things for the Kansas City offense this year. I promise you. I promise you that. And that looks like it's about it. Now, for defense, McDuffie, he's definitely by far minus Chris Jones. He's your best defensive player. I was going over some numbers earlier. He is, essentially got to be in the top handful of best cornerbacks in the league, just by his numbers alone. So I don't know. He's going to have, tackles. They're going to be roughly the same, right? Now, how many sacks is Chris Jones going to get? What did he end up last year with? Karlaftis got 10.5. Chris Jones, 10.5. Of course, Chris Jones, I think he's going to have a big year. So these two are going to have huge years. Karlaftis and Chris Jones. I believe Chris Jones is going to get up to the 14, 15, probably about 14 sacks, which is a lot, but he's that good of a player. He's by far the best defensive lineman, and again, handful of best defensive players in the league. So I expect him to get about 14 sacks. Tackles, you're going to look at the safety, Justin Reed, and McDuffie. Those guys are going to rack up a lot of tackles. As we mentioned, Bolton got injured. He's very important. See, 60 tackles, 22 unassisted. 22 assisted, 38 solo. But look, he only played 8 games, so half the year. He's going to be big. So getting all these guys healthy is going to equate to a good season, a good productive season for everybody. So, and Butker, he doesn't miss. He'll hit basically every single kick he makes. All right. He didn't miss last year. So very, very, very good player at that position. But I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for joining us. Is there anything else? Okay. Well, that being said, I will probably see y'all back, what's today, Saturday? I don't know, maybe Monday or something. But subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned. And we will see you soon. Go Chiefs.